Hi everyone, please welcome Kane Power from New Zealand. Kane is an award-winning podcast producer, editor, audio consultant, and also speaker. And on top of that, also the founder of Precision Podcasting. And he is a fellow travel enthusiast. Yay! Welcome, Kane. Thank you so much for coming into the studio today to have your story shared and to talk about your life.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and it's very cool to be recording a podcast in person in a studio.
Yeah, it's perfect. And also talking to a pro because you know your stuff better than I do. And you will definitely notice if I do something wrong here today.
Yeah. No, we're already set up for success. This is going to be great.
Perfect. So you have been growing up in New Zealand, but also you moved to London for quite a while. Why did you leave New Zealand in the first place?
Yeah, I guess I grew up in Hamilton, not far from where we are right now. And Hamilton is the kind of city that when you are a teenager, you mainly think about leaving.
Yes.
You know, it's sort of, so my whole teenage life was, as soon as I can get out, I will.
Yeah.
I ended up studying at Wintec, just there, and that was my thing. As soon as I'm done with Wintec, as soon as I have a qualification, then I'm out. And so I've completed my degree, moved to Christchurch to be with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and we were there for a couple of years, but the plan was always London. So my family is from England and Ruth's family is also from England, and so we hold dual citizenship.
Perfect.
So we could go to England and live for as long as we wanted. We hold passports. And so we got our passports and booked a flight and just went over there. And yeah, tried to make it work. But that was why I left, because basically it's like, I just need to get out of this place.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're musicians. So in terms of like, you know, there used to be a good music scene in Hamilton, but in terms of trying to actually become successful as a musician and make it your career, you're probably better off moving to a big city to try.
And especially London is so well known for music, art, and everything that has to do with success. Like successful people are living in London, and you have such a big audience as well, right?
Yeah.
And Europe right there, like every country is so close.
So crazy. Yeah, it's funny though, because you think, okay, this is where we go for success, you know, this is where we go to make it big. But then you get there and there's 10 million people and there's a million musicians and they are all trying to do the same thing. Yeah. And so it's actually even harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good that you mentioned that as well. I have a friend who we also did an interview together, and she left from New Zealand to London as well to kind of get a bigger scene with music and art and stuff like that, because she's also a musician. And she hasn't done much yet because I think she's also just trying to figure out life over there.
Yeah, no, it's hard. We didn't do anything for even up almost a year. We didn't even play our instruments or anything really. Yeah. It's like you have to find places to live and you can't play in your apartment, you know. And so it's like you have to find rehearsal rooms and all of this stuff. Life takes precedence until you can get something together and start. So it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. And then even then it's like, okay, we started, we've got, you know, we can play. Where do we play? Yes. And then there's, you know, you have to beg for club gigs and
you don't know anyone yet.
Exactly. Yeah. We started from absolute scratch over there.
Yeah.
It was a challenge for sure.
People always underestimate it. I mean, I always say just start and move over and, you know, you will find your way. And I still stick to that. Like, that's my opinion. You should do it. But it's not easy.
No.
So you have to really be determined and set a goal or kind of make a plan on how to achieve what you want to achieve. You can't just be like, oh, I just wait and see and it will happen somehow. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. And like, there's so many things that you don't even think about. We moved over to London and we didn't know anyone who had lived in London before.
Yeah.
I'd never known anyone who had done it, and I didn't know anyone there. We shipped over like our bed and like, you know, my wife's piano and like a stage piano, you know, not like a acoustic piano, but my full drum kit. Like we shipped over like kitchen gear, like,
wow,
just crazy.
Yeah.
And then, it came over on a boat and we got to London and got an apartment, and then everything arrived. And we're like, why did we bring all of this stuff? All of the apartments we're looking at are furnished,
Yeah.
It's crazy. But no one told us. We didn't know. We had to figure that out for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I was to do it again, and if I was to move to a different city again, which I will, guaranteed in my lifetime, another couple of times, hopefully, I would do it differently.
Yeah. Was London your first time going overseas, or have you been away before that?
Growing up, my dad lived in Australia, in Perth.
Right.
And so I've been over to Perth multiple times throughout my childhood and into my teenage years.
Right.
So I was accustomed to, like, not really long haul travel. Perth is about 7.5 hours from Auckland. But as a child, that's quite long.
Yeah.
But I had been overseas there before, but that was it. But then, when we left New Zealand for England, we went with Royal Brunei Air, which was such a mistake. And we went to Brunei. Right. And so that was my first actual experience outside of New Zealand and Australia, because Australia is it's different, but it's pretty much the same.
Yes.
It's hotter and there are some different animals, but getting to Brunei, and they do a mandatory 11-hour stopover, so that you can be a tourist in their city.
Yeah,
that was pretty wild. And then we landed in England and stayed with my family who live in the Midlands. Yeah. So they picked us up from Heathrow and drove us up to the Midlands. We're in this village with these houses with thatched roofs and,
wow, 2
pubs and no other shops and, English countryside kind of thing. It's gorgeous, but it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then coming down to the big city, that's easily the biggest city I've ever experienced and been in at that point. It was pretty crazy.
What was your main difference between England and New Zealand at that time culturally when you went over? Was there anything you particularly thought very different from what you expected or from what you knew?
I don't know if there were many surprises. English people are obviously different, their culture.
Yeah.
But also my family's culture, stems from that. My nana still speaks with an English accent. My mum was born in England, even though she moved when she was young. So our family, English is our culture really. So there wasn't many surprises, but English people are much more conservative than New Zealanders on the whole. We're talking generalizations here, but in the workplace, there's just sort of different approach to life. They're quite stoic, the English, and wonderful and have their own sort of sense of humor, but it's a little bit different from the sort of laid back Kiwi sort of vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you feel like you fit in quite nicely after a while, or did you struggle actually settling in and then also just living your life over there? Was there always a little bit of homesickness to come back to New Zealand one day?
Not for me. For Ruth, there was. Yeah, she was homesick. No, I think for me, I felt like I fitted in some areas and with some people. Like I joined a band pretty quickly, and made friends with them. And, we were young and sexy and trendy and cool. And, so it was like we were in that sort of scene, we felt good. And we felt like, the people around us and our friends and that sort of vibe was good. And we felt like we fit in. But, at work, for example, like every day there would be a joke about me being a Kiwi or, I was always other, I was always separate from them. And it's in good humor, but it is always separate. So I never really feel like I actually fitted in as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have that problem that they don't even think of the part when they move to another country, this whole fitting in, or how other people will take you in, even if they are nice and friendly. It is still really hard to feel like one of them, or if, as you said, they don't mean it in a bad way, they make jokes and they think it's like, all right, because you are from a different country, you are Kiwi, but they don't understand that that's one part of always making you feel like you're not one of them. Yeah,
being reminded every single day that I'm not from here.
Every time, and for them it's just not a thing.
You must feel a similar way here.
Yeah, I think I have come across it in some aspects. Like, I still feel strongly rooted with Germany because that's my home country and I've been growing up there 27 years and all my family and friends are there. So for me, it's okay to be the other one, because I know I am and I'm happy to be from a different country. And I don't mind not fitting in as such because I have so many friends from all over the world here that we all are not fitting in and we all are nice to each other. I mainly notice it more, which is quite interesting, when I hang out with my friends from, for example, the Iranian community or the Indian community, and they have these massive communities here.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I don't fit in at all.
Wow.
I feel like an outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a different level of outsider as well. Because it's like from a different group of people in a different country. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? But I have never felt, apart from one little incident where someone called me Nazi.
Oh my God.
But I think that was a person that had some mental health problems
I
anyways.
think so.
Like a stranger on the street, you know?
Yeah.
Apart from that, I never experienced anything where people weren't at least curious, They were like, oh, I can hear an accent. Where are you from?
Yeah, I think it's generally like most people are pretty accepted in this country. Funnily enough, I struggle with that. It's something that I've always struggled with, and it was part of the reason I left this country. It's because I don't really feel like I fit in that well here anyway, even though this is my country.
Very interesting.
And, if I look around at my friends, and my main sort of friends now, most of them are from different countries.
Yeah.
They've all come to New Zealand and they call it home, but they were all born in different countries most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's it's rare that I relate to average Kiwis.
Yeah.
On that level.
Do you have an idea why that is, that you don't really feel like you fit in your own country and culture either?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I'm not sure I want to go that deep.
Okay. That's fine.
Because it could, because it's obviously it's something to do with my childhood, and it's also something. I think it's partly about wanting to be better.
Yeah.
And not necessarily thinking that I'm better than your average Kiwi, because I'm certainly not. But always, I've always had this desire to strive for more and strive for better, and in my mind, it was always moving overseas to find that.
Yeah.
And then I guess I moved overseas, and I did kind of find it in some ways, but then not in others. And it was interesting, and feeling a little bit like an outsider, and then moving home. And also, I've been away for so long, and now I've got a bit of an English accent, and now I've had these experiences overseas, and now I also feel a little bit different. Yeah, it's definitely a me thing.
Yeah.
But also, I think a little bit of a rejection of like classic Kiwiisms. You know. Maybe I'm just a bit tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's how you feel, and we can't really put a label on certain feelings. It's like sometimes you don't even really know where it's coming from, or you don't necessarily want to reflect too much on it. You might even know more, and we don't have to go there.
I know. I've reflected on it deeply. I know many reasons why.
So, that's fine. Like and there are so many people that don't really feel like they're in the right country as well, or they don't feel connected for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not that I don't feel like German anymore, but I can't imagine at the moment living in Germany again.
Yeah.
And I love everyone over there, but I feel more comfortable at the moment to be surrounded by English-speaking people. And there's nothing personal about anyone over there, about Germany, about German culture. It's just my preference now and how I feel.
Yeah. Isn't it also like, I just had a thought that maybe this, this sort of feeling is something that contributes to the desire for travel.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always looking. Like I feel like New Zealand is my home.
Yeah.
Like I want to make that clear. Like New Zealand is my home. It's where my family is, and it's it's where I feel at home more than anywhere else in the world. but I am always searching for somewhere that also could be my home.
Yes.
You know, and there is this desire to explore the world and to find people like me in different countries and, you know, experience that, because maybe there's always a little part of me that's like, maybe what if I could live in Mexico? What if that's my place?
Yes.
You know, and then you're there and you're like, fuck, maybe this is my place. You know, maybe it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of the excitement of travel, right?
Yeah. I remember we have offline talked about that feeling of freedom already when it's about traveling, because that's one big thing that I've noticed with myself. But you also kind of agreed that that's a big part for you to travel as well, right?
Yeah.
Can you just, you know, describe a little bit of that freedom and why you think freedom is the right word to choose when you think about traveling?
Yeah. Okay.
If you can.
yeah, I'm sure I can. I guess it's like just the feeling that anything is possible.
Yeah.
You're not tethered. You know, so when you get on the plane and now it's happening. You know, you've paid for your ticket, you're going to this country, it's going to happen, you're going to land. When you land, you're going to have to figure things out, and things aren't going to go to plan, and they're always going to be different. And that, to me, is freeing.
Yeah.
It's free, and like it's spiritually free, but it's also like free mentally.
Yes.
You know, there's a certain lack of control that you can have, and there's also a similar amount of control.
Yeah.
That, you know, because you're like, I'm going to book this hotel, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to go to this restaurant, so you can control things in a certain way. But then, of course, you're in a different country doing random things, so, you know, you're never really entirely in control. And I think that's sort of riding the line between those two feelings is that sweet spot of feeling free.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like anything could happen. You know, you could make a decision that might change the course of your whole life.
Yeah.
By going, you know what, I am going to go out to this random event tonight, and then you meet somebody and, you know, your life changes. Or,
yeah,
you know, I'm going to decide we're not going to go to this country anymore. We're going to go to this other country as a last minute thing, and then you end up loving it, and, you know,
yeah,
that's freedom.
Does the word adventure resonate with you when you hear that yourself, like when you talk about it?
Yeah, no. No, adventure doesn't really resonate with me. I don't really refer to anything as an adventure. Yeah. Experience is definitely what I aim for.
Yeah.
I want experience. I want to experience places and food and, you know,
yeah,
feelings like other people do. That's what I crave.
Yeah.
Is knowing how other people live and how other people experience life.
Yeah.
And I want that. I want that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that. I probably would have described it in a different way, but I would have meant exactly the same. And just this whole going overseas or to a different country, not knowing what will happen. Yes, you can book a whole itinerary and follow it to the dot, and it can still be a nice holiday. And you can still explore a little bit, but it's still different from actually going, not really knowing what will happen, not really knowing who you will meet, how it will change your life, and just to be open to let that happen, to let another person change your life.
Yeah.
Because I think the average going on a holiday person, they would have their itinerary and they would look at the things and museums and places. But would they be open to actually let someone change their life? Maybe not.
Yeah. Which one are you?
I think I was in the beginning with my parents traveling. I was more of the person who would just follow around, see the places, learn new things. Love that it's a different climate. I really love the differences between my country and the new country. I think that was really cool for me. But then I went out with my friends and traveled around, and I met new people everywhere. And I started really early on to look for at least 1 or 2 people that I could connect with. And I loved when they were from the different country, different language. You kind of have to somehow learn something new to make it work. And then when I came to New Zealand, I fully was ready to be that person that wants someone to change my life.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and that's why I also say I never felt as free as coming to New Zealand, not having a plan, not knowing who I will meet, not knowing what will happen. And I'm a control freak. Like, if I'm not in control, and I get panic attacks when I'm not in control, I've noticed that, and it's just in your mind, but I know it can happen. But I was so fully ready for that, to be not in control, to just have the basics, like knowing where I will sleep the next day or the next week.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to meet new people that could change my life, that could change the whole direction of my trip. And yeah, I think that's what I loved so much, and probably also one part why I discovered New Zealand as my home in a way.
Yeah, I'm similar to you in the control thing. I like to be in control.
Yeah.
And like things to be, controlled. Yeah, I guess that is it. And the first, we did lots of trips while we were living in England into Europe and and around. But when we left England, it was 4 months before we went back to New Zealand, and we went to Greece and then kind of just worked our way along the Mediterranean coast and then up into the Nordic countries and back into the UK and stuff, and had this incredible trip. And I planned it to the day.
Yeah.
It was like I had a spreadsheet. We booked months in advance. I booked all my flights. We booked all accommodations.
Yeah.
And so, because for me at the time, I thought, and this is kind of partly big city thinking as well. You'll always you think differently when you live in a big city.
Yes.
Things are harder. You have to have structure. And so it was part of that as well for me, with thinking like, if I plan everything out and it's all sorted, and I just look at my spreadsheet to know where I'm staying, where I'm going, then I can fully relax.
Yes.
And then just let my days flow. And that was true, but also it left no room for maneuver. It was like, no, we're here for 2 days, and then we're going to the next place for 2 days, and then we're in the next place for 3 days, and then we get 4 days in a big city. And it was a very like. But I've changed. I think I still like some. I like book the initial flight, book the first hotel, and then maybe book the first week in an Airbnb or something. But the only planning I generally do, it changed when we went to Thailand and just didn't book anything.
Yeah.
And just rocked up and just made it work. And it was so amazing.
Yeah.
So liberating. And now I do that kind of vibe a little bit. But the only real planning I do is I'll sit there and figure out all the restaurants that I want to eat at, or some of the, old museums or archaeological sites that I want to see. And I'll just mark them on a map.
Yeah.
And I won't plan anything. And then when we're there, it's like, what do you want to do today? Oh, well, let's go to this place for lunch. Or you're out and about and you find yourself and you open your map and you're like, oh, there's this, the Museum of Natural History is just around the corner. Should we go to that?
Yes.
I think that's great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting to hear that you were so planned with everything before. You know how a lot of people say traveling broadens your horizon. Would you agree with it? Would you disagree with it? And how would you think, or has traveling changed you as a person, your personality, the way you think?
Yeah, 100%. It definitely, it's the main purpose of travel, I think, is to broaden your horizons, to experience how other people live. And I think those experiences have shaped me as a person 100%. It's made me more empathetic towards other cultures. When you're amongst it, and you can get a sense of what life is like in different places, and it's so different. I think it'd be hard to come away from that and not be changed. I know we're talking about traveling though. We're not talking about a trip, a holiday. No shade on this, because I like to do it as well, but going to an island and staying at a resort for 2 weeks and lying by the pool drinking, whatever you're drinking, mango daiquiris, and then coming home. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's not experiencing another culture. You're not going to broaden your horizons in that way. You're not going to have empathy for local people or their situation or anything like that. And that's fine. That's totally fine. What I think we're talking about is travel, right?
Yes.
And that's the totally different thing, where you're going and you're immersing yourself in that culture and you're finding out about their history and about their food and about their lives.
Yeah, I so fully agree with that as well. It's nothing wrong with going on a holiday to relax.
You need that sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. But it's so different to actually meet someone from there, the local. And then that person takes you out and is like, hey, my friend's over here. We can all hang out. We show you this really cool club. We show you this really hidden beach. Things like that. It's so amazing because it's just, you don't expect it. You haven't planned for it. You would have never seen it otherwise.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was younger, I went with a friend to Bali. And of course, we wanted to see everything in the country. But we were still young. And we found someone online. He is a local, but he's a tour guide and he can speak a bit of German. Or he can speak German.
Yeah.
And for us, it was perfect because he kind of decided what to do. And we just said, yep, sounds good, let's do this. But because he's local, he already put in some really cool stuff like going to a village and then actually planting the rice and sitting on the ox and going in the mud and then creating some arts and crafts with the ladies from the village and going to a school where we see the children.
Yeah.
And this really made me feel like, okay, I want to have more compassion. I want to have more understanding of how other people live. I want to be open in not being insulted when someone calls me privileged, because you realize you are.
Yeah.
And understanding that my passport means I can go anywhere. So many other people, they can't even go to a different country just because of their passport, of where they were born. They haven't done anything wrong. I haven't done anything right. They just can't go.
Yeah.
And those things, and you mentioned compassion, I love that. Because even now when there's war and someone is firing a missile to another country, another city, now it's not just, it happens over there. Now it's like, oh my God, that's the city where my friend's parents live.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everyone is shocked. First thing for me is texting my friends, are your parents okay?
Yeah.
So I feel so much more connected with the whole world, and I have more compassion to whatever other people experience. And I understand how lucky I am and was with my life as well.
I think even just the privilege to be able to save money to buy a plane ticket.
Yeah.
That's so beyond so many people. And we're so lucky because of that. I want to go back to something that you said before about like when you get to a city and you have someone that shows you around.
Yeah.
There was when we traveled through Europe, Airbnb was like brand new. And so we used it throughout the entire trip, and we'd mostly stay in people's houses in their spare room.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you don't get your own apartment or anything.
Yeah.
So we're staying with all these people, and we're paying like 12, 19, 25 euros a night, to stay in a room in someone's flat, pretty much. And often these are cool kind of local people. And I remember it happened in Rome, it happened in Athens. Our hosts were hosts.
Yeah.
They'd be like, right, I'm going to take you out. What do you want to do? And we're like, we love food. We want to eat where you eat. And, we want to go to like see some live music or something. And then you go out and you're hanging out with their friends. You're eating the local food that you'd never find, in a cool restaurant that's like, just normal people. And you go to a cool gig and you just see the different side.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'd gone into those cities, like especially big cities like Athens and Rome, and you go in there and you don't get to meet people, and you still have an incredible time because they're incredible, massive cities, but there's a different level that you get to that I think is, now that Airbnb's changed so much, it's harder to get to. that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And also so many people still want the entire apartment booked and not stay with the locals anymore.
Yeah.
Which became such, I think in the beginning, as you said, it was often the only option to have a room in their apartment. Now you can have the whole apartment. And a lot of people opt for that because they want their privacy.
Yeah.
But you kind of miss that whole aspect of getting to know the locals and seeing it from their eyes.
Yeah.
It's just very different seeing it as a tourist with a tourist eye, or to actually see it through their eyes and their friends and make new friends. That's in the end what it is too.
Yeah, that's it. There was one time in Marseille in France, and we were there staying with these people in this incredible apartment, but like, pretty shitty. But like it's old and French in the city, and so it's like all this beautiful wood and very glamorous, 100 years ago, but run down. But we're staying in this apartment, and it was our anniversary when he told us what restaurant to go to and booked it for us. Wow. And it was gorgeous and local, and not expensive. And then we get home, he's bought us bottles of champagne and, celebrate with us on the roof and, and with his partner. And it was very, very cool. And, things like that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And experiences like that don't come by that often anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's also rare that I would stay in someone else's house with them now.
Yeah.
I think I'm maybe a little bit older and a little bit like less willing to compromise on things like that. And also the pricing has changed so dramatically that it's almost cheaper to stay in hotels now, and you get,
unfortunately,
you get hotel service in a hotel for cheaper than what you'd get staying in someone's spare room. And so there's kind of like a no-brainer.
Very true. Yeah, it's a bit sad because the concept of it was so great.
Yeah, it really was. I'm so glad that I got to experience it. And I hope that people still do.
Yeah. Funny enough, my first experience with Airbnb was in New Zealand, and it was the first week I booked when I arrived in Auckland to come to Hamilton to talk to my potential employer. And that place, the hosts that I had there are one of my longest friends here in New Zealand.
Nice.
And we catch up frequently. We are all busy, and they moved to Auckland now, so we don't see each other that frequently anymore. But it's so amazing. Like, I came, I was all new. I had my massive backpack on the back. I had a small backpack on my chest.
Yeah.
And I walked around Hamilton from the uni to the area where Knighton Road and all the places. And they were living somewhere there.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know how to, get there and do this. And I figured it out somehow. And I was super proud of myself. And they were so lovely. And we instantly became friends, like in such a small or short amount of time.
Yeah.
And they gave me their numbers. They offered me to, if I have any problems, to give them a call, and they would sort it out for me. And there was that case that a young backpacker, I think from England, got killed. And it was in the news around that time when I was traveling around.
Oh, no.
So they were concerned and texted me if I'm all right and if I'm worried about it. And so lovely. And that's why we just stayed friends, because it was such a great experience. And yeah,
it's really cool. How do you feel about that kind of thing when you're in a country and something goes wrong, and then you get a bunch of messages from home being like it happened to us recently in Mexico.
Yeah.
When we were there, 2 Australian guys were killed for their tires off of their van.
Oh my God.
But it turns out that they were in Baja California, which is like red zone, don't go there for tourists. They were driving their own van, which is again, don't do. And they were parked up on, in the middle of nowhere by themselves, just sort of camping randomly, which is again, like, don't do. So they just ignored all of these like warnings. I'm not saying it's their fault, but like, there's like a bit of common sense that comes into it. But straight away, like that news hit New Zealand before we got it, because we're traveling. And so we're getting calls and stuff going, what's happening? Is Mexico safe? All this stuff. Turns out it's like one of the safest countries I've ever been to. And things like this happen all over the world to all kinds of people. But I feel like it's happened multiple times. I've been overseas and there's been an event in that country and I get bombarded with all of this stuff. Like, what's happening?
I understand, because I would probably react the same way. If something happened somewhere where I know I have a friend, I would text and just make sure they're safe.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes from love, right? But of course, it's sometimes making it bigger than it is, because you are still there and you don't want to be frightened. And if you are all on your own or you don't know what happens, you feel safe in the moment. You are trying to not go to the red zones, and you make sure that you listen to what other people say. Don't do this. Okay, you won't. Having a lot of people telling you what just happened can be a little bit stressful, because then you are kind of like, oh my God, should I be even more careful? Can I trust those people?
Yeah.
But I guess, let's be honest, we all know Mexico has places where you should not go.
Yeah.
And we know it's not the safest country in some aspects. So as a person who wants to go there, I would always do my research and make sure I do the best I can to stay safe.
Yeah.
But I would still feel, I appreciate people to check in with me and ask, are you safe? Are you okay? How did you feel when you got the whole lot of messages?
I generally, for some reason, I feel a little bit annoyed.
I'm like,
leave me alone. Like, I know what I'm doing. You don't need to, I understand if it's my mum being like, are you okay? That's fine. But yeah, I'm very conscientious. We loved Mexico so much, and we wanted to go to a place called Taxco, which is outside of Mexico City. And we'd planned to go, but we hadn't booked anything because we were, living free. And a couple of days before we went, I looked it up, and I looked it up on the subreddit, and just typed in Taxco and what's up. And there were posts on the Reddit from a couple of days ago being like, don't come here, cartels moved in, they've taken over, people getting shot in the streets, like, do not come here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay,
I guess I'm not
going there. What else should we do instead? So I think staying ahead of that kind of thing is good. I don't really need other people from different countries telling me what to do or, what I should be looking out for. But I understand where it comes from. But yeah.
I guess also they only get the version of the media as well.
Yeah.
So they only get the dramatic, this is what happened, oh my God. And you are in a completely different part. You did your research, you feel safe, and it's just, you live there in the moment, and you kind of try to see the signs. You stay away from certain people. If you don't stare them down and be like, you don't provoke anyone. But yeah, I guess I could tell when you were asking me the question, I could tell that you kind of are that more like annoyed to get it, which I understand as well. Yeah,
I think, I've never felt as unsafe as I have in Hamilton, anywhere in the world. And, growing up here, it was unsafe, and it still is. A guy was stabbed 3 weeks ago and died 2 blocks from where we are right now.
Yeah.
And at nighttime in town, it can be a dangerous spot, and I've been in cities all over the world and have never felt as unsafe as I have in Hamilton, for sure. But we used to live in England, and the media would, the New Zealand media would talk about things happening in London, and I'd wake up to all of these missed calls from my family being like, are you okay? We heard about this thing. And it's like, I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah.
London is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's like, what's happening, over the other side of the city, like, I have no idea about, and they're not reporting it,
Yeah, exactly.
To the news. But I think getting back onto the kind of like travel safety, I think a lot of it comes down to common sense, and the more that you travel and the more experiences you have, the more that you build up your common sense. It's why if you're a teenager and you're traveling for the first time, maybe you're going to do some silly things and make some mistakes and learn some lessons.
Yeah.
But I think the more that you do it, it's that thing. It's like, okay, when we got to Mexico City, the advice is stay away from these couple of suburbs.
Yeah.
And so you just stay away. And it's like, don't buy drugs, don't buy sex, don't, kind of hang out in these sort of seedy areas after like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You're like, cool. I won't do any of those things. And if you're like walking down a dark alley at night and you like get a feeling, maybe don't maybe don't walk down that alley. Maybe back out and go the long way around home, and just being a bit more like gracious with yourself and using your intuition.
Yes, that's such a great point. I actually thought of that while you were talking as well, because it reminded me on one thing I experienced when I was 21. I went to Miami with 2 of my girlfriends.
Fun.
And it was amazing. But also we had quite a few people warning us. Like random people. One person in the airplane. Just, I think that person lived in Miami, but just always told us, make sure you're safe, you're not going out by yourself at that time. And we were like, there must be something to it when multiple people tell us. And we weren't doing crazy stuff. But what we didn't know was the accommodation that we got booked from the travel agency was absolutely trash, horrible, really bad, and we couldn't change it. So we kind of felt a little bit unsafe there, but we made it as safe as possible. We complained a few times to get it properly cleaned. And then we literally just, all 3 of us slept in one double bed. So we just really...
Yeah, safety in numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then we booked a tour to go to the Key West, and snorkeling. And we had to get up really early in the morning. And we went to a store just around the corner, and there were 3 guys checking us out. And we got, like, me and my other friend, we had such a bad feeling about it. We were like, they look at each other, they look at us, they talk. They kind of, you could just tell whatever they had in mind. It was about us, and it was probably not going to be good. And my other friend was somewhat not really there in her mind. Like, she did not feel anything, she did not know anything, she did not notice anything. But we were like, hey, let's just grab our stuff, pay, and get out and run, because we had such a bad feeling. And that's what we did. We went to the counter, the guys came slowly to the counter, we paid, we got out, we started running. And then we just turned around for a minute, saw that they came out too, looked around, and we were just around the corner back at our place. But it doesn't matter if really something would have happened. It's just the fact that we had that feeling. Yeah,
and thankfully you had the intuition and also the confidence to be like, we're going to run.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that happened is that you ran.
Yeah.
And great. Amazing. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, let's be honest, who cares? Like, if they thought we are crazy, who cares, right?
Yeah.
We were safe.
Yeah, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up, because I think intuition is something that we should all tune in a bit more.
Yeah, and you always get it. In every single country, there's always the guy that comes up and goes, hey, where are you from? And you're like, New Zealand. And he's like, oh, New Zealand. Oh, yeah, cool. Auckland. Or, and then goes, oh, so, right. And it's always an angle. And it's always, he's trying to sell you something, or he's trying to rip you off in some way.
Yeah.
And you can entertain it if you like. But most of the time, the best thing to do is just shut it down and walk away. And it's a while before you recognize that, but it's ubiquitous across the world. Yeah. People are looking to hustle, Yeah. And as a tourist, you're walking around with money.
Yeah.
And you're looking to spend it as well. So people are going to hustle you everywhere you go. So you just need to be a bit like, have your head on your shoulders.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really love the conversation, but I want to ask you one more question before we wrap it up.
Sure.
And it's a question that you asked me before, and I loved it.
Okay.
So I will ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Question now. So how do you choose the country you want to go next, your next destination to explore?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I've had like an ongoing list, just a mental list of all the countries that I want to visit. Honestly, it's usually based around cuisine.
Yeah.
I'm a big foodie. I love my food. I love experiencing new food.
Yeah.
And so, it's generally around that. And it's kind of what's calling to me at the time.
Yeah.
We went to Thailand 3 years ago, and I've always thought Thailand's cool, whatever, but I'd never really kind of thought I'd go there.
Yeah.
And before that, we went to Vietnam, and I'd never even really considered Vietnam. But then we were looking at traveling and working. And I was like, where are some kind of cheap places that we can go?
Yeah.
And you look at how cheap it is to live in Thailand or in Vietnam, and you're like, okay, we can make that work.
Yeah.
And then you kind of realize, both incredible world-class cuisines.
Yeah.
The food is so amazing there. And so that was all it took, really. And it's like, okay, let's go there, and also, but it's all the time of year sometimes as well. We're going to be traveling in June, July, where like, for Mexico, for example, I wanted to go somewhere for my 40th birthday, which is in April.
Yeah.
And that seemed like a good spot because if we always wanted to go to Mexico, obsessed with Mexican food and culture and art. But we decided that it would be way too hot to go a couple of years previous because our travel window was June, July, August.
Yeah.
And like that's peak summer in Mexico. Unbearable.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, what if we went March, April, May? That's way better. It was still really hot in the end in May in the Yucatan. But so sometimes it's like that. You're like, oh, well, we want this travel window. Hey, that would be a good time to go here.
Yeah.
Next, top of the list now is Japan.
Yay.
But also there's like China is calling out. I guess I can. It's also like the media that I consume. So like my Instagram feed is like lots of like Chinese country life, Chinese cooking, Chinese street food. And so like I'm getting all excited about China. And the history I love. I'm a big history fan, so I love going and learning about history.
Yeah.
So I guess my answer is roundabout, but I think I generally have like a mental list. I have some countries towards the top of that list. And it's situational. It's like, how much money do I have this year?
Yeah.
Can I make it work? I want to travel for 9 weeks or 3 months or 6 weeks or whatever it is. Does that mean that I need to go to a cheaper country, or can I, spend a bit more and go somewhere a bit more expensive? Or, what's happening at that time of year? It's a bit situational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Is there any country that won't ever make it on the list, or that you don't even really want to go?
I don't often, no shade on any country really. I'd be up for anything. Genuinely would be up to travel to any country, but countries that I don't really think about going to, generally like Middle Eastern sort of countries.
Yeah.
Anywhere like super religious, I'm not super like a massive fan of. I know a lot of countries are, but like where religion is, like a lot of Muslim countries where it's become very much a part of the government system as well. Anything like, the Qatari, Saudi Arabia sort of situation with women and with minorities and LGBTQ people. Yeah. I'm not interested in going to support them. It's like I won't go to Dubai probably unless someone pays me to go there for work or something. That I ain't choosing to go there. So that those sorts of places. Yeah, but genuinely anywhere else, I'm open to. Yeah, I think. I'm not sure about like the Arctics. I think it would be a wild experience, but I kind of feel like we shouldn't be going there. Yeah. Can't we just leave it? Can't we just leave it alone? Do we need to make tourism, to the Arctics as well and ruin that? Maybe we just leave it alone. Also, like it looks freezing and I love the sun. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Like all aspects. Yeah, I agree. We are everywhere and probably we shouldn't be everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, and since we were talking about traveling and all of that, I'm really getting, is it itchy feet? Is that what you say?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I get. Yeah. Yeah. In German, we would say Hummeln im Hintern, so having bumblebees in your butt.
I love that. Germans, you have the best sayings. I have a close friend, Ressa, who's German, and she always comes up with these random bumblebees in the butt, see?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love how you can't translate it one-on-one, but I still do, and it's just, I love it.
yeah, that's good.
But thank you so much, Kane. It was amazing talking to you about your life, your experience, your love for traveling, your reasons behind it. It was just such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. It's awesome, and your podcast is rad.
Thank you. And I hope everyone loved it as well, and I hope I hear you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.